Hey there everybody, it's Linnea for ThermOWeb, and this week the ThermOWeb team is collaborating with the Heffy Doodle team. So I'm going to be using some fun products from both companies to create a couple of foiled cards. I'm going to go ahead and start with my stenciled backgrounds. Anytime I'm using a wet medium, something that needs to dry, I like to start with that and then work through the rest of the pieces of my card so that I can kind of save some time and pull it all together in one sitting. I have from Heffy Doodle the Lots of Happy stencil and the Messy Desk stencil, and I'm spraying the back of them with Pixie spray. This is a temporary adhesive that's going to allow me to tack this onto a piece of cardstock and then apply some Deco foil transfer gel Blanco over the top. I sprayed the back just lightly. You really don't need a lot of the Pixie spray. And then I let those stencils sit for about a minute to let that Pixie spray kind of set a little bit. You don't want it to be wet when you put it onto your card. Then I'm going to put the stencil onto a piece of white cardstock, and I'm just using a brayer to add some even pressure onto that cardstock. Now for the Messy Desk stencil, I knew I wanted to use this large, like spatter type of image. I'm not good at getting things centered into a piece of cardstock though. So I cut a piece of cardstock that is larger than what I need, and I'm going to put that large ink spatter in the middle-ish of my cardstock. Then use some pieces of purple tape to go around that and mask off the other portions of the stencil. That way I can do my stenciling and then cut this panel down after it's dry so that I can make sure that big ink spatter is centered. So I'm taking my Deco foil transfer gel Blanco and I'm just going to scoop some out and spread this over the stencil. For the technique I'm doing today, I'm just going to do some basic foiling. So you can use the Blanco gel, which you have to use in a laminator, or you can use the Duo gel, which you can use in your laminator or with your die cutting machine. I just happen to have the Blanco gel out on my desk from another project, so that's what I'm going to use here. I'm just using my stencil pal and spreading it over both the Lots of Happy stencil and the Messy Desk stencil. I'll give that an even coverage with that stencil pal, and then I'll remove these stencils and set them aside to dry for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'm going to do some coloring now for my images from Heffy Doodle. I have images from 2 stamp sets. They are the Hello Squeak Heart stamp set, which has these cute little hamsters and the cheese and the hamster wheel, and then the Treat Yourself dies, or stamps rather, and those are the ice cream, the watermelon, and the popsicle. And in the end, I am going to end up trading out that piece of watermelon for some cotton candy. I'm going to do some quick Copic coloring, so I stamped these in a Copic friendly ink, and now I'm just going to color these up. So for the cheese, I'm going to go with the classic yellow color, so I used Y19 and Y08 for the little circles in the Swiss cheese there. Then I used Y19, Y08, Y06, and Y02 for the rest of the cheese. So kind of my dark colors for the center are also the dark colors for the rest of my cheese block, so everything looks cohesive. When I colored the little hamsters, I thought they would be cute with some little spots on them. So I'm going to take my darkest marker, which is E57, and I'm just going to add some little dots onto this hamster, kind of just coloring a little portion of his ear, his back, one of his legs, and then I'll go in with my other markers. So I have E55 here. I'll use E53 and E51 and color in the rest of this little hamster. I'm going to color 2 hamsters with dots and then 1 without. One's going to be in warm grays, and then the ones that I used brown colors on, I will add those fun little dots, and I think that just adds a little bit of character and a little something extra to these adorable little hamsters. Next up, I'm going to color some of those sweet treats from the Treat Yourself stamp set. I am coloring the watermelon, even though in the very end I ended up omitting him. I think he's super cute colored up, so I kept the coloring in. I'm using some YG09 and YG06 for the bottom part of the rhymes, and then my lightest color is the YG03. And then I'll use a super light color. I think I used YG21 for that inner part of the rind. Then I'm going to use a bunch of pink colored markers for the actual watermelon itself. I think I ended up using 4 or 5 colors of pink. I just like to add a dark color and then blend out until I have the whole image colored. So if you use 2 markers for a tiny little area, that's what I'll use, but for a bigger area like this, I just kind of kept adding lines of pink until I had that whole watermelon colored, and that ended up being 4 or 5 marker colors. Once all those images were colored, I took the coordinating Hello Squeak Hearts and Treat Yourself dies, and I placed them over the images, and I'm going to use some purple tape to hold them in place while I die cut them. And then I can start working on my cards. It takes me a long time to color, so usually by the time I color and then feed my son dinner, my backgrounds are dry and ready to go. You'll know they're dry when the back of your paper no longer feels cool to the touch. I'm going to be using 2 colors of foil. I have the Gina K Designs Glimmering Gold, which has kind of like a gold holographic effect. I love this foil. I think it's really pretty. And then on my other background, I'm using Deco Foil Rainbow Shattered Glass, another one of my favorites. I'm cutting the piece of foil down to be slightly larger than my background, and I'm going to lay that onto my stenciled background pretty side up. So you want to be able to see the pretty side of the foil. The silver or the back side should be making contact with your medium. I'll put that into a Deco Foil parchment paper carrier sheet and run that through my laminator. And I did the same thing with this messy desk stenciled background. Cut a piece of that Rainbow Shattered Glass Deco Foil to be slightly larger than my stenciled design. Put that into a Deco Foil parchment paper carrier sheet and ran that through my laminator. Once they're done, I just give them a couple seconds to cool. Then I can peel off that foil and check this out. That background is so happy and so fun. I love it. I love that Gina K Designs Glimmering Gold and how it has that kind of holographic undertone to it. Rainbow Shattered Glass is probably my favorite Deco Foil color ever. I love that look of those squares, like the shattered glass in there. Absolutely adore it. I did feel like, however, the way I positioned the foil, I didn't get a lot of color differentiation. I really just got the pink and the purple, and so I wanted some more color on this background. So I'm going to place another Heffy Doodle stencil over the top. This is the Confetti Heart stencil, and I'm just going to use some purple tape to hold that in place. Then I'll grab some colored inks and just fill in this background. I happen to be using Distress Oxide inks, but you can use any color inks you want. And I'm using little fingertip blender brushes because I don't want to blend over the foil. It won't harm the foil at all. You can just wipe it away with a cloth. But when I wipe it away, sometimes I end up leaving smudges behind. So these little fingertip blender brushes are going to allow me to get close to that Deco Foil design, but not go over it. After I used that bluish ink, I rotated the stencil and taped it in place again. And then I used a pink ink. So now I have those kind of blue and pink hearts in the background, and I think it really livens up the background a lot. For my sentiments, I thought it would be fun to add another pop of color and some texture, so I'm going to die cut some Deco Foil flock transfer sheets. I'm using the Yay and Hello Heffy Doodle Heffy cuts, and I cut the Hello from Sunshine Yellow Deco Foil flock and the Yay from Poppin' Pink Deco Foil flock transfer sheets. I also used that same Heffy Doodle die to cut out the sentiment 4 times from some white cardstock to stack that up for dimension. I used my iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive pen to do that so I can get just little tiny dots of glue. And then I'm going to add my flock die cut piece right on top. So that's going to give me dimension with that texture on top. From there, I'll use my iCraft 3D foam squares in the Easy Dispenser box and add all of my little images on top of my foiled backgrounds. So I have 2 finished cards in no time. I love this little happy birthday card with that Yay on top, cut from the Poppin' Pink flock. I think it is so cute. Those little hamsters are adorable. And then you can never go wrong with sweet treats and a simple hello sentiment. A big thank you to Heffy Doodle for joining the ThermOWeb team for this collaboration, and thank you to you for watching this video. I will see you again soon. Bye!